All right, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about Mesopotamia, which is the land between two rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates. Historians often claim that Mesopotamia is the oldest civilization, and we're going to talk about all of the things that made it really special today. One of the most important inventions that came out of Mesopotamia was the use of irrigation, which they used these things called sedifs, which were kind of like water teeter-totters, but their irrigation systems were absolutely astounding. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. A lot of the time, ancient people get a reputation for being dumb, stupid, just people that are hitting rocks on top of other rocks, and, the History Channel wants us to believe that they couldn't do anything without the assistance of aliens, but if you did anything wrong, they would just kill you. So there were no stupid people. This is how this could all work. In Mesopotamia, they had surveying of land, astronomy and calendars, accounting, and compound variable interest rates 1,000 years before coins were even invented. And they had quadratic and cubic equations. I still don't see why that means I have to learn them. I wish I could just learn about Mesopotamia. Now, one of the most important things is that they don't understand why it floods, but it's kind of in between some mountains, and in the spring, the snow would melt off the mountains and then obviously flood the land. But the flooding was really, really unpredictable, and it would cause complete havoc if they were not prepared for it. Because of this, the Mesopotamians thought that that meant God didn't like them. Now, the Sumerians were the people who lived in the south of Mesopotamia. They were the first people to develop writing, and they had a picture-to-syllable alphabet, also known as a syllabic alphabet. Cuneiform is what it's called. They're little wedge-shaped designs that were actually pictures of what you were purchasing. That's actually how we got our alphabet today, just over thousands of years of changes. They also made impressive structures called ziggurats. They didn't have any interior, they were just a mound, and historians believe that they were used as a place for religious ceremonies. The oldest epic in the world is the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is a novel about a guy named Gilgamesh. He is the king of a city-state, and he goes on lots of adventures, but he also has lots of problems. This character named Enkidu, sometimes spelled with an I, sometimes spelled with an E, was sent to stop him, to stop Gilgamesh, and Enkidu was a wild beast man. So they'd fight all the time, but then they decided that instead of fighting, it would just be better to be best friends. And now they fight monsters together. But there's a goddess named Ishtar, and she hates this. So she sends a bolt of lightning. In response to this bolt of lightning, Enkidu rips off the butt of a divine bull. I believe Ishtar was supposed to represent the bull, and he flips it into her face, so she kills him. I don't know why, but I always picture Enkidu as being like the wildest SoundCloud rapper, just in ancient Mesopotamia. Then Gilgamesh has this really weird and depressing dream where he sees Enkidu and he's in the afterlife and everything is gross and he's got to eat clay, and it's just kind of like Dante's Inferno but a little bit worse and thousands of years earlier. And it really freaks Gilgamesh out, so he decides that the best thing to do is find eternal life for everyone. What a guy. So he goes out to find this guy named Utnapishtim, who already has eternal life. Sometimes you'll hear Utnapishtim referred to as Babylonian Noah, and you'll see why in 1 second. The reason that Utnapishtim has eternal life is because the gods got so angry that they decided they wanted to try and kill all of the humans with a flood. And only one god told Utnapishtim to get one man animal and one girl animal of all of the animals on the world and put them on a boat because there's going to be a flood. Sound familiar? It's basically the story of Noah. But Utnapishtim doesn't think that there's going to be a big old flood anytime soon, so that's probably not going to work for getting Gilgamesh his eternal life. But there is a plant of eternal life that's at the bottom of a river or the ocean or the sea. And so Gilgamesh goes and he gets it, but then a snake steals it. And we see another example in ancient literature of a snake being a representation of evil. Crazy. Anyway, that's a brief rundown of the Epic of Gilgamesh and Mesopotamian society. Now, as a bonus, I'm going to teach you how to write a bomb comparison essay, because that's pretty much the only question that you're ever going to get asked on how to write an essay from this time, is to compare and contrast ancient Mesopotamia and Egypt. So, first of all, Mesopotamians used cuneiform, and Egyptians used papyrus and scrolls and hieroglyphics. So cuneiform was that writing system that was wedge-shaped and written on clay tablets, versus hieroglyphics, which were used on papyrus scrolls. Let's see what else. Oh, the Mesopotamians had no central government, versus Egypt, which was the first nation state. The Mesopotamian afterlife was really dark and depressing. Remember Enkidu eating clay and being sad and depressed, versus the Egyptians thought that the afterlife was just like Egypt, but better. They both had big monolithic architecture. In Mesopotamia, they were the ziggurats. Remember, they had no interior. And in Egypt, obviously, a great example is the pyramids. They were both settled along rivers and in about the same geographic location, both in the Middle East. And if you take all that, you can write a great change and comparison essay over time. I'll see y'all in the next episode.